Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we'll do the usual. We'll start off with first the market recap of some of the major indexes, where they started, where they ended the week. We'll look at the volatility index VIX as well in correlation with the indexes. We'll also touch upon some of those stocks which were in limelight for the last week, such as ABNB, Fisker, ROKU, etc. Then we'll touch upon what to look forward to for the week of February 22nd, because increased short interest in one of the particular companies that I want to touch upon. Then we'll turn into some of the earnings that are coming out for next week and what to watch out for and what am I watching. And lastly, we'll touch upon those two company events that are coming up, especially for Ford and Facebook, which I hold in my personal as well as public portfolio. So if you get any value out of today's content, give that like, and without further ado, let's dive in. Starting off with S&P 500, we started the week at 4,412 points and we ended the week at 4,349 points. That's a drop of 1.44%. Now this is the straight second week we have been down on S&P 500. For Nasdaq, we started the week at 13,837 points and we ended the week at 13,561 points, and Nasdaq saw a drop of 2.09%. Again, a second week loss straight. For Dow Jones, we started the week at 34,573, ended the week at 34,087, again a drop of 1.43%. If you saw my last week's update, Russell, which was a small cap index, was in green even though the three indexes were in red. And if you haven't seen it, check it out right here. But this week, Russell was down 1.59%, started the week at 2,041. Ended the week at 2,009 points. Not all is bad though. Volatility index VIX was actually at 29.27 at the start of the week, and we ended the week at 27.75. So that's a drop of 5.91%, which is actually a good sign for the market. As we see the correlation between the VIX and the indexes, you can clearly see that at the start of the week, when the VIX was trading at an all-time high of 31 points, the indexes started going down. And as the VIX started falling down throughout the week, we saw indexes trading along in the green. And as the volatility increased in the market due to the interest rate discussions and the war, the VIX started creeping back up and the indexes started going down. VIX went all the way down to about 24 points in the middle of the week and it touched back up to the 29 point mark, and then the indexes were at an all-time low for the week. Stocks in focus were Airbnb, which reported its stellar earnings last week, as the fundamentals are improving for the company, and so is the business case to buy and hold this particular company. If you were on the earnings call, one of the most important parts that the management talked about was how the world is changing. They recognized the fact that business travel, which used to be prior to the pandemic, may not return the way it was before. There is a new model in place, which is the remote work. So now as people, they start working more remotely, they can travel to any part of the world, stay in an Airbnb, and work. Was shown in one of their metrics. In Q4, they saw 20% of the bookings came for 28 days and longer, as opposed to 1 or 2 nights in previous quarters or even before this pandemic happened. So what we are seeing, there is a shifting trend where people are working remotely and now they are shifting their location to different parts of the world while keeping their job and taking advantage of being remote. If you did not get a chance to hear the earnings of Airbnb, what I would highly recommend is at least check out the Q&A section. Also, the stock was up 5% after they reported earnings in the last 1 week. Moving on to the next stock in focus was Fisker. Now Fisker, I also covered that in the earnings call. It's right over here, so check it out. The management really believes in the product. They stand behind the product. So they're coming out with the Ocean in November, and the CEO is going out next week to start test driving the first prototype that comes out of the factories. What the management also focused that in the $40,000 range, there is no other car maker, electric car maker, that produces an electric car which is also sexy. They're also launching out a new car which is Fisker Pear, and this will be in the $30,000 range. It's a sedan that is expected to come out next year. The stock was up about 0.87%, so you don't see much of a big deal. But because the stock has been beaten down so much lately, we can safely assume that the valuation of the company is much more aligned or much more affordable than it used to be. Now remember, this is still a growth company, this is still a speculation, and hence keep that in mind. The other 4 stocks that were in focus were Palantir, ROKU, DraftKings, and Roblox. Now, if you look at the chart over here, all the stocks in the past 5 days were down at least 19%. Palantir was dropped 19%, Roku dropped 31%, DraftKings dropped 24%, and Roblox dropped 28.63%. What was the common theme among them? They all reported their earnings. And this has been a common theme in 2022. You can go back a couple months when earnings were still being reported. You can see these are the big drops that happened. Same thing happened with Square. Same thing happened last season with DocuSign. Same thing happened with the Peloton. So you name it, and all growth companies are getting beaten up, especially by the market this year. And this actually started last year when the cyclical change happened, when money started flowing out of growth companies into more value companies. So let me know in the comments if you hold any of these 6 companies in your portfolio, and what are your thoughts about the fundamental? Is it an overreaction from the market on the stock price? I would love to know your thoughts. So what to watch out for the week of February 21st? Well, starting off with ticker symbol BLNK, which is Blink Charging Company. What we are noticing is that in the past few weeks, the short interest position as compared to the total float available has been increasing drastically. For the last week, the short interest increased by 6%, and now you're sitting at 40.98% on short interest. Blink is going to be reporting its earning on 2/28, which is February 28th, and it will be very interesting to see if the stock will go down further or not. Currently, the stock is trading at $23.55, and the stock is down 12.36% year to date. And considering there's such a high short interest on this company, the chances are that we will see more put options being bought in the coming weeks until leading up to the earnings report. So next week, we are again set up with some very interesting companies that are going to be reporting. So starting off with Tuesday, the first company that is on my watch list is Home Depot. It is also one of my main dividend plays and in the top 10 stocks of 2022. If you haven't seen that video, check it out right here. The second company that I'm focusing on Tuesday that will be reporting earnings after the market close will be Virgin Galactic. Well, if you are a fan of this channel, you probably know that I have been covering Virgin Galactic from a long time ago, since they went last year in space, and we constantly try to keep a tab on Virgin Galactic and how it's going to perform. Personally, I don't expect the earnings report to be stellar or it's going to blow us out of the water, but I do expect that with the latest news of opening the reservations, I can see that the management is feeling confident that the commercial flight is possible for this year. So that is something which we'll be eyeing on, and we will be doing a live stream on this channel for the Virgin Galactic. Some of the other interesting companies on Tuesday would be Teladoc. Teladoc is also part of Cathie Wood's investment, so something to definitely look into it. On Wednesday, we have a similar company like Home Depot, Lowe's. We also have Lemonade, Fubo, Skills, Hertz, Clover, which are very high speculations from a retail investor standpoint. So those companies will be reporting earnings. We also have eBay reporting earnings. Now moving into Thursday, that's where the fun begins. We have Alibaba, ticker symbol BABA, reporting earnings. If you have seen my last video where we reviewed the 3 bearish reasons for Baba, check it out right here. It will be very interesting to see how it's performing. The second company in focus will be Nikola, famous Nikola and Trevor Milton. So nothing more to say on that, but it will be very interesting to see how their earnings perform. Now, after market close, we have 3 big companies: Coinbase, Etsy, and Beyond Meat. This time around, I'm very focused on Beyond Meat to really see how that industry is progressing, because the meat substitute industry and the food industry is a very competitive industry. We want to see if Beyond Meat could prove to be a good investment for investors or not. So something I will be personally keeping a very close eye on. And then on Friday, we have some of those big names like Foot Locker reporting earnings, and LendingTree. So something to look forward to on the next week as well. Lastly, the 2 events that I'm watching forward to, and these are 2 of the companies that are either in my portfolio or public portfolio. The first company is Ford, ticker symbol F. The CEO Jim Farley will be appearing in the firm's Global Autos, Auto Tech and Mobility conference next week, and we'll be discussing the Ford's growth opportunities in 2022 and some of the key areas that they will be focusing on how they are planning to move away from the ICE to the electric vehicle segment, and also how are they going to build their software as a service. If you have been following Ford, most probably you know that Ford has been considering an option of spinning off the electric vehicle division separately. So a lot of eyes and maybe some questions will be asked around that topic as well. So we will see how that happens, and if there are some major catalysts that are revealed in that event, most probably we will see a pop-up in Ford stock as well. The second event, which is going to be another Facebook event, and seems like I have been tracking Facebook for a long time now, but we have another major event where Mark Zuckerberg is going to be talking specifically about AI and metaverse. So a very important speech on what Facebook is going to be doing. Now, there were some couple of news last week from Facebook standpoint. First, we saw Nick Clegg, who was the Deputy Prime Minister of United Kingdom, was appointed as President of Global Affairs. And unfortunately, Facebook is no longer in the top 10 company as of the market cap. They dropped to spot number 11. So there you go. That was a quick roundup of what happened last week, what are we looking forward to next week. And if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to hit the like, click on subscribe and ring the bell notification. I will see you next time, Investor Family, but don't forget to invest for tomorrow.